Gunner TLC 7 here, and this is the first video in a series I'm going to make about the Engineers Guild for Guild Ball. This video will just be a basic overview of the guild, their playstyle, and a little bit of their lore, and the videos after that will be about each of the players. Because I know when I was getting into Guild Ball, I had really been trying to find videos for certain teams and stuff and try to get exactly the kinks of each of the players, exactly how to play them. So I decided to make some for the engineers. So I'll just start off reading a little snippet of lore that comes before the cards for the Engineers Guild. The Engineers Guild. Although nowhere near as new as some of the fledgling guilds that have come into being since the end of the Century Wars, the Engineers Guild is certainly not much older, barely more long-standing than our own enterprise. They were originally formed just prior to the conflict, as siege engines and fortifications began to be constructed. All weather pedestrian to an alchemist, of course. Their science is a trite and laborious one. Advancement is far too slow, and their attitudes often boorish and condescending, especially amongst the older magisters and artificers. I discern an intriguing division that is very apparent to me in their houses. The tired old science sitting uncomfortably alongside their new discoveries. They have the most devastating potential of all at their fingertips, but their own innate animosity and stubborn pride stops them from achieving greatness. But to be fair, and pay them their due, not all are that way. The keenest amongst them have lent their hands to the construction of clockwork instruments and devices, of far more interest to our enlightened minds. In these I see the paths to immortality. Midas, Alchemist Guild's team captain. So basically, the Engineers Guild are the ones who make machines and stuff. The main thing in the game that they have is they have certain players that are basically robots. Wooden robots. Yeah, I mean, I'd say they're one of the cooler guilds. And one of the more interesting ones. They are right with the Alchemist Guild. They're probably the two closest guilds with in the game, and they're the only one who share a player just between the two of them compound. But now I'm just going to give a brief rundown of each of the players, sort of what they do, and then at the end I'll just go over the general tactics of what makes the Engineers Guild the Engineers Guild. So for their union players, the Engineers Guild can take Decimate. She's a good choice because you get a lot of momentum from her. She can use Second Wind to make your guys jog after they've went, so that's good if you send one of your characters who has range attacks like Ballista or Ratchet. You can walk them up and use them, and have her use her Second Wind so they walk back. And she has anatomical precision, so she's way easier to hit people. Rage is sort of meh for them since he can't cast Tooled Up on non-guild models, so he couldn't use it on any of the engineers. But he's really infinity influence efficient, because for one influence you can get 4 momentum if you do it right. So he's alright, but he's not really that good in the engineers. Gutter's not really that good either. I'm not even sure exactly what Gutter does, but I know she can pull people to her on a guild ball, and that's about all she does. Harry the Hat's probably the best, besides Harry the Hat and Avarice and Greed are probably the two best for the engineers. Harry the Hat is good because, he has a 2-inch melee range. He's pretty influence efficient. You don't really have to have a lot of influence on him to do things. He has Molotov for 1 influence, and that's good because just helps you control ground better also. But his best thing he can do is he has an aura around him that lets players do free teamwork actions. And since the Engineers are such a football-based team, he's really good with them. And then I haven't really played with Avarice or Greed at all yet, but I know they have a really devastating goal threat range, so that's another reason to use them. So the first guy is just Ballista. He's the Season 1 captain for them. One crazy thing is that on a lot of their stuff, Steamforge says that the Engineers are slow, but they're all pretty fast actually. So I don't know why they'd say that. First Captain Ballista, he has good movement, okay defenses. His main thing is he has good control elements. Like people who come close to him get hurt, and he can knock people down, like range knockdown. Tough hide. People around him who hit with a character play generate momentum, and his legendary just lets him kick farther, and it goes through people, can't be intercepted, and knocks them down. Second captain is Penvice. She's really good because she has a pretty good goal threat range, and she's like can do a lot of damage. And she also has reanimate and close control, so she's really good. With her, you can pretty easily take someone out turn 1 and then score a goal with her. For their first mascot, it's Mainspring. I'd say he's not as good as the next mascot, but he's alright. He has long bomb, so whenever he makes a pass, he can pass for farther, so 3-8. And then he has overheat, so when he gets taken out, all models within a pulse suffer damage. And then he has a thing so he can make a free pass a turn. Mother's probably the better mascot, just because she has burrow and spider nest, so she can move farther than you would expect and basically teleport from in front of someone to behind them. And she's really good with Hoist, because Hoist can copy that and go farther, so good threat range on that. Colossus is probably one of my favorite models in the game. He's one of the few 50mm base models. He moves really fast, he has a good kick, and he's tough. He can single people out, and he has a bunch of stuff like close control, static, and tough hide. Hoist is pretty cool. He's like the only guy who has true replication now, so he can once a turn for free, he can copy a character play on another friendly guild model's card. So basically he can take like the burrow thing from Mother, he can take Tooled Up from Ratchet, he can take the Blast from Ratchet, he can take Singled Out from Colossus, and he has his guild ball on too, so that's good. Then he also has Tough Hide, Reanimate, and Sturdy. So first knockdown done, he can reanimate, which makes him a lot tankier, and he has Tough Hide. And another thing he can true replicate is Nimble from Velocity, so he's a 5-1 then, so he's tough. Ratchet, they have Ratchet. He's basically like just like an all-purpose support type of guy. He can actually do pretty good damage with a 2 result on 2, so if he tools himself up or if Hoist tools him up, he can do a little bit of damage. His main weakness is he's not tanky. He's just 3-1, no tough hide. So he can get beat up pretty easy, but he has Tooled Up, which is awesome. He has Long Bomb, so he can make a long pass, which is good. He has good kick, the 4-6 kick, and he has ranged AoE that he can use twice a turn, so that's good. And it's rough ground, so it helps him control. Oh yeah, he can basically get the conditions off a model for free each turn. He can, one of his heroic planes brings Mainspring back with full health. That one's pretty poopy, since Mainspring is not the better mascot really, and Creation just really isn't that amazing this season. But Overclocked is good, because it lets a free Mechanica model within 4 Sprinter charge without spinning influence. So if you can set it up right, you can basically give a Penvice that's super loaded up free charge. Salvo, he's like the only 8 kick out of all of them, 8-inch kick. He's just 4-1 normal like, but he just has a bunch of ranged character plays, and that's like his thing. And Velocity's just, Velocity's the other 8. She's like the super striker of them. She can make a dodge, 2-inch dodge, which is good, help extend her threat range. And she has really good push dodges when she's attacking. Veteran Velocity is weird. It's sort of like she can be a goalkeeper, but she can also go do other stuff too. But she's more like a semi-goalkeeper that can go do other things well. Compound really is just a straight goalkeeper. He doesn't have a good kick, but he's just basically an influence battery because he has rush keeper, so he has counter charge when he's by the goal. He has like the when you die you do damage thing, but it's with poison instead of fire. Then he has gluttonous mass instead of tough hide, so the first attack or anything against him is ignored. So yeah, so that's really just a basic rundown of all the characters. The new Engineer's character isn't out yet, but I'll do a video on him when he does come out. He's supposed to be a 40mm base Mechanica who's really good at controlling the ball. But now I'll just talk briefly about what makes the Engineers an engineer. The Engineers. They have a lot of good ranged control. They can put down rough ground with Blast Earth from Ratchet, and they have ranged knockdown from Blista. I'd say they are definitely more of a scoring team than a killing team by far. Depending on which way you play, you can pretty easily get a knockout or two, but your main thing you're going to want to do is score goals. They all have pretty decent, they have accurate kicks, but they don't have the farthest kicks, since most of them are 4-6. But overall, they're surprisingly good kick-wise. Yeah, really the two ways you can play it is have a slightly more takeout-oriented team led by Pinvice. She's the more, I'd say, versatile one, because she's really good at scoring goals, and then she's also can take people out pretty easy, while Ballista teams can just be more control-y and score-y. But yeah, so that's just a basic rundown of the Engineers and what most of the players do. And yeah, so then after this, I'm not sure the frequency, but I'll start uploading videos about each of the players and exactly what you can do with them. So I hope you liked the video, and comment if there's anything that you think could improve future videos, and thanks for watching.